Okay, good morning. Today is Tuesday, March 22nd, 2016. The Rich Van Tassel channel with your weekly NBA report. Starting as usual in the Eastern Conference. Cleveland Cavaliers are still at the top. Toronto is a game and a half back. Those are the two teams, 1 and 2. Cleveland at 50 and 20. Toronto 48 and 21. Cleveland, the only team in the East, was clinched a playoff spot. Toronto will be doing so shortly. Those teams are going to be 1 and 2. Toronto has an 8-game lead over Miami, and they have less than 15 games left to play. So that's going to be the 1-2 matchup. There's some talk about Cleveland resting and not concerning themselves with the number 1 seed. That's something that if they feel that's best for them to do, then they're going to do it. I don't think it is. This team has not shown that much consistency all season long. Consistently as they're playing the way they want to play, game in, game out. They're clearly winning. They have an over 700 winning percentage. I don't think this team has played, over a 10, 15 game stretch where they're saying this is how we expect to be playing. This is where our team is totally in sync. So I would advise not resting, but that's their call. They're going to do what they're going to do. Teams 3 through 6, the Miami Heat, Atlanta Hawks, Boston Celtics, and Charlotte Hornets are all separated by half of a game. Teams 3 through 5, Miami, Atlanta, and Boston are all tied 9.5 games back. Miami has a percentage points lead. They're 40 and 29. They've played less games at 69 to the Hawks and Celtics, who have played 71, or now are at 41 and 30. The Celtics on a 2-game losing streak after their 4-game skid. Still right there. We did the video saying that there's no need to panic. They have a pretty advantageous schedule coming up. Road games against the Clippers and the Warriors will be difficult, but certainly there's still plenty that the Celtics can accomplish, and they can certainly still get up to 3 or even the 4th spot, guaranteeing a home court advantage in the first round, but they can drop as low as 6. Charlotte had an impressive win last night over the San Antonio Spurs. Anytime you beat San Antonio, that's impressive. San Antonio is obviously one of the better teams in the league, and we'll get into them when we do the Western Conference. But especially when you were losing by 20 points in the first quarter, to keep your composure and come back and win. Kemba Walker is still playing very well. Indiana and Chicago are separated by a half of a game. Indiana 37 and 33, Chicago 36 and 33. Detroit is also a half game back of the 7th spot, but they're percentage points back. They've played 71 games. Detroit has the same record as Chicago as far as games back. Chicago has the games in hand though, and Indiana has a game in hand over Detroit. Those are the teams 7 through 9. So very interesting with those last 2 spots and those 3 teams, and you have to include Washington in there as well, who is a game and a half back. They have won 5 straight. I think they recognize that the time is now. They have to they don't have to win out, obviously, but they have to go on an extended run with 12 left. You're looking at winning at least 9 or 10 of those final games to have a shot, because Chicago's on a 3-game winning streak. Milwaukee's lost 2 straight. They had a tough loss by 1 point to Detroit last night. That was basically the end of their season. They now have 41 losses. Even if they win out, they're only getting to 500. So, after Washington, no team's going to make the playoffs. Orlando 29 and 41. They're 4 games back. Let's see if they can finish strong and give themselves some positive momentum going into next year. The same thing with the New York Knicks, 28 and 43 on a 3-game losing streak. Can New York get to 35 wins? I would, as disappointing as Knicks fans are with the way this team is going and has been going over the past couple seasons, you go from 17 wins next year, you get up to 35 this year. You doubled your win totals from year to year. Certainly something to carry into next season. Brooklyn and Philadelphia are both eliminated. The Nets 19 and 50. The Sixers 9 and 62. I'd say the Sixers are going to lose 70 games, but they do get 1 win in these final 11 games to make sure they don't have the worst 82-game record as they did the 76ers own at 9 and 73. Moving to the Western Conference now, Golden State 63 and 7 on top. San Antonio 59 and 11, 4 games back. San Antonio, we said, had that loss last night against the Charlotte Hornets. Golden State was engaged in a tough one, but were able to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves by 5 points. San Antonio had beaten Golden State. I picked Golden State to win that game. San Antonio continued their home dominance. They're 35-0, and their home dominance over the Golden State Warriors 33-0 since 1997. But the loss by San Antonio last night and the win by Golden State tonight, both teams with 12 left to play in a 4-game lead, I would say it's highly unlikely that San Antonio is going to get Golden State. But with the 11-game lead San Antonio has over Oklahoma City, they are locked into the second seed. So I would expect they are going to rest the rest of the way. They know what they have, and they're a veteran team that's been together a while, opposed to Cleveland, who didn't have Kyrie Irving for the beginning part of the season and was engaged with a lot of injuries last year trying to incorporate everyone. I don't think that team should be resting. Oklahoma City is locked off a playoff spot. They are 48-22, quietly on a 4-game winning streak, so it looks like they're getting back to the winning ways. Again, when we were talking about the Celtics, if you're going to have a situation where you sputter post All-Star break, you'd rather have it a little before you have about 5 to 10 games left. Oklahoma City did that a little sooner than the Celtics. The Celtics haven't gotten out of it yet, but now Oklahoma City is playing well, and they can continue to carry this into the playoffs. They are likely going to be the third seed, so they will be facing San Antonio likely in the second round. Memphis still with the 5 game, or excuse me, the Los Angeles Clippers are fourth. They've lost 2 straight, 4-6 in their last 10. They have a 3-game lead over Memphis. The Grizzlies have won 2 straight, so it's going to be interesting to see again. Memphis with all the injuries, can they get up to the fourth spot and get home court advantage in the first round against the Clippers? Those two teams are almost certainly going to be 4-5 because Portland is 5 games behind Memphis, and the Clippers are 4.5 games behind Oklahoma City. Portland 3-7 in the last 10. They're only a game above 500. Then you have the Rockets and the Dallas Mavericks at 35 and 35 in the 7th and 8th spots, carrying a 1-game lead over the Utah Jazz, who are on the outside looking in at 34 and 36. Denver, while they have been playing better and finishing the season well, they are 6.5 games back at 29 and 42. They would need to go 9-2 to finish just to get to 38 and 44. So they're basically out of it. So outside of the top 9 teams, no one is going to make the playoffs in the West. Sacramento 27 and 43, not finishing too well. The New Orleans Pelicans have shut down Anthony Davis with the torn labrum. He expects 4 to 5 months to come back. Minnesota Timberwolves, not the strides I would have liked to have seen from them this year. They have 12 games left. They're 22 and 48. Be a miracle if they avoid 50 losses. That is this season, but they only won 16 games last year. So obviously they're 6 games above that win total from last season. So any more wins they get will show the improvement. Phoenix is struggling to the finish line at 19 and 51, and the Los Angeles Lakers, boy, if it wasn't for the Sixers, how bad would the Lakers be looking this season? So your power rankings, even with the win over Golden State on Saturday for the Spurs, Golden State is still number 1, and I would expect they're going to be number 1 the rest of the season. And that Minnesota close win doesn't deter that at all. Either San Antonio, obviously, number 2. The third spot, interesting. You have both Oklahoma City and Toronto on 4-game winning streaks. Toronto actually has the better record. And you do have Cleveland as well in there. I'm going to give it to the Toronto Raptors, 8-2 in their last 10. They're only a game and a half out of Cleveland, and the 4-game winning streak gets it to them. Cleveland and Oklahoma City, 4-5. You could interchange those either way, but Cleveland does have 2 more wins. So that's why I'll give that to them. So 1 Golden State, 2 San Antonio, 3 Toronto, 4 Cleveland, 5 the Oklahoma City Thunder. Okay, that is your weekly NBA report. Remember, we appreciate all subscriptions. I will not be on the radio Friday because of Good Friday, nor will I be on the radio in the future. I have moved on from that. That's certainly not an issue of anyone's concern. The reasons why, but they do need to know I will not be on the radio anymore. So no need to listen to me there, but we will still be doing the same programming on Fridays. just me personally and nothing to do with the radio. But of course, those videos will still be on YouTube, so nothing to worry about there. Thank you all so much, and any flash news alerts, we will bring them to you. So enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you very much. Okay, good morning. Today is Tuesday, March